In this video, we are going to be taking a look at how you can interact with a FHIR REST API using Python. Now, the FHIR REST API basically defines how you can use HTTP in order to interact with a FHIR server. Now, there are other ways to interact with a FHIR server. Now, in the previous video on just FHIR with Python, we saw how we can create a FHIR resource and how we can validate a FHIR resource using the Python FHIR.resources library. Now in this, we'll continue on this, and then we will take a look at how you can post a FHIR resource to an actual live FHIR server. Now let's actually look at the server that's already available to us. So you can use the FHIR-bootcamp.medblogs.com/FHIR. This is the base URL of the FHIR server. We host it for you, and it's open. It's the same Bootcamp students also use the same server. So if you take a look, there are like close to 500 patients, and the FHIR REST API basically is like, it's pretty simple to understand once you get the gist of it. So for example, there is a verb and there is a URL, and that's basically it. And based on what the verb and what the URL is, you're able to do a lot using HTTP. So for example, if you want to list all patients, you would just do something like, okay, this is the base URL and I have /FHIR. I would just replace this with patient, and then I get all of the patients that are available on this FHIR server. And you would do exactly the same thing on the same URL, but instead of a get, you would use a post verb if you want to create a new patient. And in fact, that's what we'll do. So let's go ahead and let's how about we create this same patient. Let's have the name, email, and gender quite the same. And again, this is being validated. We already created this, but again, let's go back a few steps and then see what this look like. Yeah, there we go. So we are creating a new patient. Let's just run this again. And we got our patient. Now, how would you interact with a FHIR server in order to post this particular patient, right? So I'm going to install the requests library. So pip install requests. It's a very simple to use library that helps you interact with the FHIR. I mean, interact with any server, but in this case, we are using FHIR. So let's import requests. And what we are going to do is, once we have our JSON, so we have, this is the patient JSON. And we don't really need to indent it. We can just have this. We can just do request.post, and it will post to a particular URL, right? So let's declare our base URL. So let's declare the base URL of our FHIR server. There we go. Let's copy that. And let us just post to the base URL. Plus, let's add patient. Okay, that's it. That's the type of resource that we are working with. Now, the data that you need to post is, again, it's just going to be, it's a type of JSON. So let's include that. So let's say JSON equal to patient JSON, and this will return a response. Response dot, let's just read the response out. Let's look at response dot, I think it is content, but we can also, I think we can do JSON, but let's just look at content. Let's also print the status code. All right. Status code. All right. So what this is going to do is, basically we are constructing a FHIR server. We already have defined our base URL in here. This is going to post this exact data to our FHIR server, and it's going to do that using the request.post method that basically does a post request. And we are going to basically console.log the status code and like what we get back. Let's see. Let's run this. And there we go. Fail to parse JSON encoded FHIR. Okay, there is a problem here. Okay. Fail to parse as a JSON body, fail to parse. Content does not appear to be FHIR JSON. First non-space character was code. All right. So there seems to be some sort of weird thing happening. Okay, I think I know why. So this JSON in here, when you are posting, This JSON should not be a string. It should in fact just be a Python object, and it will automatically convert it to JSON. Since we use the model.dump JSON method, I think this is kind of it's messing up the formatting. Okay, so model dump. Okay, let's just do a model.dump. I think this will return, generate a dictionary representation of the model. This is exactly what we want. We don't want it to be converted into a JSON string in this case. Let's try this out. And there we go. So we have our patient created, and this is the ID. And in fact, we can also retrieve this patient back using this ID. So let's actually quickly just do that. You can obviously do this in the browser and just check if it's present, but you can also do this in Python. It's not that difficult. Let's go to patient slash. I realize that this is probably a little too small for you to see, but I don't know how to increase the font size on this side. So we see here that we successfully created our resource and it's showing up on the server. Now for you to do the same using Python, it's again like really simple. Let's just remove all of this. Let's just do response equals request dot get, and again that's the default operation that the browser does when we put it in the address bar, and then we'll do base URL, and let's do base URL plus slash patient and then slash RID. Okay, that's basically it. And then we can just do response dot can also do response dot JSON, but let's do response dot content because it's pretty much going to be the same thing here. It's going to return either bytes or it's going to convert that into a Python object. That's the only difference. Let's run this, and there we go. We are actually able to get back the patient resource that we just created. Okay. Now, of course, once you get this back, you can obviously pass it back into our FHIR.resources library like we did previously. And you can say, parsed patient equal to patient dot, validate. I think they use the model validate now, model validate. And this takes in an object, but we can actually pass it the JSON bytes directly. So this is going to be the response dot content. And this parsed patient will then be a patient object, right? So let's just print maybe the ID just to check if that works. Parsed patient dot ID, all right? So we are going to get this and we are going to validate and we are going to parse this and then we are going to print this out. Let's see if that works. And we got our ID back. So that's pretty much it. Like there is a lot of different operations that are allowed on the FHIR server. So you can take a look at all of these operations here. So there is the read, there is the version read, there is the update, there is the conditional update patch and so on. We saw how you can read a particular resource. We saw how we can create a new one. In fact, if you want to update this, it's actually not that hard. All you need to do is do request.put, and on that particular resource, you can actually update something. So let's see what we can do. So here under JSON, let's pass the updated patient resource. So here I think we already have an ID, so let's set that patient dot ID equals our ID, and let's change the name from Siddharth Ramesh to Siddharth Ramesh 2, let's say. Okay, and let's keep the email as it is. So here I think we've seen the patient look like this. Let's say we want to just update that, right? So now this is just going to be the updated patient JSON, and here we are going to just pass updated patient. It's actually not JSON, it's actually an object, so I think it will be right to call it an object in here. Let's do obj, and we are printing the status code, we are printing the content, and let's see if that updates things, right? Like we are also parsing this back and then getting the patient.id. Let's see what happens. And there we go. We have a 200 on the update, and we also see that the, let's see, where is the name? Family Ramesh. Okay, I think this is the read operation. Let's refresh here. Okay, here we go. So we see version ID 2, and we are also able to see the family name of Ramesh 2 updated, right? So let's finally just delete this resource. Let's see how we can do that. All you need to do again is, it's very simple. Just put request.delete, and then you don't need any body, right? So let's delete that. I'm going to remove all of this. Just going to print the status code and the content in here. Let's run this now. I'm going to clear all of this. And we see 200, and outcome successfully deleted one resource. Now, if we go and refresh this page, we see that the resource was actually deleted on this particular date. Okay, perfect. Now, if you want to get all patients, you can obviously do patient dot requests.get on the base URL, and you can actually parse each object in the array, right? Let's do that and see what that looks like. You're getting a lot of data here. That's mainly because we didn't really format it quite well, so it's looking a little messy. Let's see if doing .json is any better. I think JSON is returns a JSON encoded content of the response. Okay, let's try that. All right, it's a little better, but this is all of the FHIR resources, all of the FHIR patients that are available in this server, and we are able to get all of that. And all you need to do to manipulate or interact with any of these resources is use one of the following, HTTP verbs. So it's either get for listing, for getting a particular resource, put for updating something that already exists, and post for creating a new one, and delete for deleting a particular resource. So that's about it. I hope this was useful to you, and you are able to actually interact with a FHIR server and get the data that you want and manipulate the data in a FHIR server. If you want to learn more about FHIR, I conduct a webinar almost every month. There is a lot of people very interested in health IT, just like you, who will join. I'll leave a link to the registration down below. Just register, and maybe we'll see you there, and we can chat, and we can do something. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.